The last one that I want to do this week is going to be identical to the first one we did. It's going to be a mid-shoulder dart. But the difference is, instead of using slash and spread like we did on the first one, we're going to use the pivot method. The pivot method makes some things a lot simpler, and some people really like it, and other people prefer slash and spread. When I'm in a work setting, if I'm just going to move a dart from one place to another before I make changes to it, I'll probably pivot. But if I'm doing something complicated, like a theater costume, once I've put my dart where I want it to be to work with it, I will slash and spread, because it's a lot easier to make a mistake when you're pivoting than when you're slashing and spreading. So for pivoting, if I want my dart in the mid-shoulder, I'm going to mark exactly where I want my dart to be on my original pattern piece. So you might want to use pencil so you can erase it, but I've marked that. Then I'm going to start at that mark and trace around the center front to the old dart. Or I can start at the edge if I want to mark the bust point. You can either start at the edge of one or the other, and if you're starting at the old dart, you're going to mark a little hook up into the original dart so you know where you ended. And then I'm going to come around the center front, and the neckline, and I'll across the shoulder, but I'm going to stop. Make sure you stop where that new dart is going to be. So I'm going to move this so you can see I have drawn the bust point. Where my new dart is going to go, I'm going to come around the center front and come back up to where the old dart was and mark where that was. Okay, I'm going to put this back, and I'm going to put a pin or a push pin. I usually just use my pencil, and I'll hold on to where the bust point is, and I'll rotate around the bust point, which is very similar to slash and spread, and I will bring that one side to touch the other exactly, and then I'm going to resume drawing where the dart closed. So that's where we would have closed it to if we were doing slash and spread. Then I'm going to draw the rest of the way around from the other direction, and I'm going to mark where that dart started on the other side and draw over here. If that gets confusing for you, just do slash and spread. If that's fascinating for you, if you want to do anything that you can do that way, it's more convenient because you don't have to glue paper in. But so much easier to make a mistake. If you, when you rotate it, you want to make sure that you hold on to that point exactly so it ends up in the right place. If you accidentally let it move while you're rotating, it won't fit the same anymore. So, one more time. When you start where the old dart that you're moving from your sloper, start on the inside corner and mark where it was, trace around the center front or the part that's not going to move up to where the new dart is going to be. Make sure you mark where it ends and rotate around the bust point. And you know you did it right if you're in the same place both times. I do have a little area there that I didn't trace very well. And then where you ended, begin again. Some people accidentally forget to mark that, and then they have the whole shoulder on both sides, and it's frustrating for them. So go over it again. If you think you made a mistake, just start at the beginning, listen to the video, and see where you went wrong. But you probably didn't go wrong. You probably did it just perfect the first time. Just remember that you start where you start and end has to close exactly, and where you start and end here, you have to end exactly on the line and begin exactly on the line. So this time, I don't have to mark quite as many things. I've got my same 3-inch opening, so I'm going to mark 1.5 inches. And when you get through with this one, you can compare it to your other shoulder dart and see just how similar they turn out. So I've got my same center line. I'll measure up the distance that I'm measuring away from the bust point and draw in the new dart line. So you don't actually have to color the E's, but this is where it would have been. So it's still there. You just already have your paper. So now instead of the gluing part, you're just going to be able to roll it backward, crease the beginning corner up here, and then come to where the point is and crease the point. Make sure that they're lined up so they're not going to twist, and crease from the center out all the way to the edge. And then put your finger on the point and bring the folded side to the side that's not folded and mash down the center of the dart. And then draw your seam allowance and cut it off. If you prefer to use the tracing wheel, you're welcome to get one. They're called a pinwheel, and there are a few places you can order them from. But go ahead and finish that one the same way that you did the others. Just label it pivot, and I believe there's a place on canvas that's for a pivoted shoulder dart. And if there's not, every once in a while I leave one off. I think that one's on there, but just know that if there's something that you don't know where to turn it in, text or email me and I will take care of it as soon as I get to a computer. Thank you. I miss you, and I hope I get to meet you at least on Zoom soon. So you've done some double darts, and we're going to go over how to turn this into a double dart. I know there was one for you to use that was already 2 darts. This time we're going to make it so that you've got part of the dart in the waist, and we're going to move part of the dart into the armhole. Do another one that has part of the dart in the shoulder, and another one that's in the waist and comes into the neck. And I'll talk about how to turn this into 2. One option. I really like the ceiling fan on, but not when it blows the pages. I believe I talked about how to make this dart so that it works for stripes. And I know I'm not going to change the neck area, so I'm going to go ahead and trace that off. And I'm going to put the bust point on here, and I'm going to move this away for a minute. So when I'm looking at this, if I measure the distance from the center front to the bust point, I've got slightly more than 1 7/8 inches. So when I come down here, I'm going to measure out that exact same distance at the bottom. And when I draw my line from the bust point straight down, so I have a nice vertical line, then I'm going to measure over the same distance on the other side. So that's 5/8 of an inch. And I'm going to go ahead and measure 3/8 of an inch down. So this is going to be a sewable dart to begin with. And then I'm going to put this back. So this dart, if I were going to cut this out of striped or plaid fabric, would be balanced and the stripes would be nice and tidy. So now I'm going to close this until it touches that, and I want to put this one in the armhole. So I'm going to put a little mark there on both sides of the armhole and close that around to the rest. Put my push pin or my pen there in the bust point, rotate that dart closed, and then continue everything that didn't move before. So I now have this dart and the leftover space that's here. So if I measure the distance of that opening, I can kind of center it and get about 3/4 of an inch. Well, it's 5/8 of an inch, but the center is right here. So I'll draw my center line, measure out my 3/8 of an inch, and connect that with another sewable dart. So some of these you've already done. If you haven't done them, you're welcome to use this as an example of how to do that. And this is the 2 dart with the waist and armhole. And because this is a vertical dart, the flap is going to fold inward, and because this one has crossed beyond this shoulder edge, anywhere between the edge of this shoulder and that corner is considered to be a horizontal dart, so this dart is going to fold down. The flap will be down. And some of you want me to just fold those and cut them, and we can do that. So I'll fold this side, and I've got the very corner right there, and then I'm going to come up to the point and crease it between the two, fold it over and let it close and cup, put my finger down so that it pops up, and bring the one side of the dart to the other and mash the center. And while it's there, I can cut that off. I would rather practice planning ahead, because in real life you're always adding seam allowance, and it's helpful to practice that planning. and this one's going down, so I'm going to fold this side. So it's easiest if you fold the side where it's going to. And I'm creasing from the edge of the sewable dart out past the edge. Let it cup and come back up. Some people like to fold it over the corner of the table. And I'm having a problem because I didn't fold it all the way out to the edge of the paper. So I could have cut it out and not had to fold it that far, but I folded it. And then you just bring the one side to match the other and mash the center right there. And while it's folded like that, you can just get a nice smooth curve. And I've been listening to the videos while I write the quizzes, and I just get so critical of the sound of my voice and stuff. Always lining it up right on that ruler line, drawing the line out. So then you would cut that out carefully, and that one would match up with this one.